Hello, welcome back to my channel. Thank you for joining me today. Thank you to those of you who are new subscribers. I appreciate you joining us here on this channel. And to those of you that have been with me, thank you again for your continued support. I really appreciate that so much. It really motivates me to keep making these videos. So today I am going to answer some questions that I've received from a few of my subscribers and also two questions from two client sessions that I just did that I thought were very interesting and probably much needed here for this audience. So the first question actually has to do with a video that I just posted that I will try to remember to put the link below. It's called Clearing Darkness Meditation Transmission. And I appreciate all the feedback that I've got on it because many of you have sent me private messages to let me know that that video has literally relieved a lot of the aches and pains that you've been feeling, which is what it's meant to do because as I said, the first question's about me. And so we're going to talk about why I call it a meditation/transmission. So the transmission part of the meditation is the frequency that is offered through that meditation. In other words, when I was recording with my class members, we were all holding a certain collective frequency. And in that moment that this spoken meditation wanted to come through, it was this very intense feeling of this frequency that I could feel pushing through my heart center, wanting to come out, and I could feel it forming in the way of a meditation. So I asked my members to just sit back, relax, and get quiet so that we could do this meditation. And I allowed for the transmission to come flowing through me. This meditation for clearing darkness actually offers a transmission that can work through the body, unpacking some of those timelines that we've been holding on to. If some of you are still playing in the realm of fourth dimension and are talking about feeder lines and parasitic hooks and all kinds of implants and stuff like that, then this meditation would be perfect for you because it relieves and removes all of that. It also clears away the distortion of any soul contracts, oaths, or vows that we may have made that are no longer in our highest best interest, relieving us of them, because many of those old soul contracts, oaths, and vows were canceled out on December 21st, 2012, when Gaia went into her spiritual ascension. And unfortunately, many people are not aware of that. So that's one of the reasons that meditation transmission came through in the way that it did. And what was broadcasting the frequency for that was a higher self oversoul aspect of mine named Faith, who is from Nibiru, who is a ninth dimensional oversoul, an aspect that came into my awareness back in August of 2019 when I had an activation and a template wipe. And Faith came through. I was in a ceremony receiving rose quartz beads around my neck from a very high council of Nibiru, and they referred to me as Faith. And when I asked, who is Faith? I was told Faith is a frequency activator, intermediary, transcending humanity. So now I am starting to become aware as I am unpacking this information from that download that faith is an aspect of myself that I bring forward that works with frequencies on many levels. Some of you who have had one-on-one sessions with me know that I often will do a sound or tonal healing in a session to clear distortion, and that's coming from me on a vocal level. So that is what is taking place in this meditation. There's a frequency that is being offered. It's not my frequency. It is a frequency that's coming through the higher realms that is being offered in order to help your field release the lower level distortion that needs to be cleared should you desire to receive that transmission that's coming through during that meditation. So I just wanted to clarify what the transmission part of that was. Downloads are very different. Downloads are, for me, when I see it as if we have received the drawer of a very full filing cabinet, and that filing cabinet has many, many folders in it. And so that literally that whole drawer of that filing cabinet has been pulled out of the filing cabinet and inserted into us. And I feel like when it comes in, it does download through the crown. It's very compact. It's like a zip file, if you will. And then it takes time to unpack all of that information. And that's what's been happening with me with faith over the last several years, as I have been unpacking this information on what aspect faith represents for me. So I am beginning to share that with you so you can better understand the work that I am doing and what I am bringing to the forefront. And maybe the reason that I am calling myself a transformational alchemist, because after all, frequency is very alchemal in nature. It's like light language. Light language is its own alchemal frequency, okay? And so if you've ever heard light language, you know that you have to take that in through the heart, not the mind, because the mind cannot be a receiver of light language because it's a frequency. It needs to come through the heart. And so it's the same thing here with this transmission for the clearing darkness meditation that I did. It's a frequency that needs to be received through the heart center. Okay, so I will try to remember to link that clearing darkness meditation below. Please do it. I'm hearing back from so many people that are using it, that it's really helping them in so many ways. Many are also sharing with me that their beloved animal partners are also receiving healings. So that's very exciting for me to know that the work is working, and it's free. You don't have to pay for it. So please use it. Okay. It's a tool for you to use as often as you like. And it is my pleasure to be able to share that with you. All right, so I'd like to get into the questions. So the first question is coming from one of my viewers who goes by the name of Truth Seeker. So this one is for you. And basically the question had to do with responding to something that is in our immediate reality. Okay, so you guys hear me talk about being an observer, and that there is a movie playing out there that we do not need to participate in because the movie is out there. And if something is occurring out there and it's not in our immediate reality right here in front of us, or in our home, or in our personal environment, then it's not in our reality. Okay, and the only way that it could come into our reality or affect us is if we bring it in by focusing on it or by calling it into our reality. So in other words, we have to go get it. We have to tune into it. Okay, and then we bring it into our reality. So the question was, my child's school is requiring masks, and my child is very upset about that. And I would like to know if I should go to the school and speak my voice on that concern, because I feel called to do so, but yet at the same time, Maria, you tell me to be an observer. So what would be appropriate here? Now, in that case, you have children, and your children are being impacted by masks, and you are feeling unhappy about that because you're seeing your child struggle. And you're feeling called, right? There is a sense of duty that is coming up in you, and it probably feels very focused in the heart center. So there's a pull to that scenario or to that narrative of masks playing out in the school system. So in that case, I would say if you are feeling that pull from the heart center, by all means, state your voice and stand up for the rights of your children not to wear masks in the school, because that's the only way that we're going to break down this matrix. So if you are feeling called to do that, then in that situation, because it's presenting in your reality, you should feel free to do that should you so choose. So someone like myself, I do not have children. So it does not present in my reality, and I would not feel called, because I do not have children, to go to a school and protest masks. Okay, so we have to use discernment, and we want to choose what it is that we're going to engage in. So somebody had asked me last year in 2020, when this whole thing got rolling with COVID, if I was going to form a protest or if I was going to rally anything. And I really didn't feel called to do that. I felt like that was not my level of service. I felt like my level of service was here in my YouTube channel and sharing and putting out classes, gathering up a community through the portal that I created at my website, and where we're all meeting on a Zoom call, and we're all able to work through whatever's presenting. And those participants, the members in the gathering, can ask questions that I try to do my best to answer. And then also supporting through my posts on Instagram and Twitter and my personal blog. So I feel that's where I'm most beneficial, in helping people maintain their balance and harmony in their reality, rather than me going someplace and fighting the good fight. That just never resonated with me. Okay. So that is, that's my take on that. So hopefully that helps you. And if there's any of you that are facing that challenge as well, and you feel called to step up and speak your truth at a parent-teacher conference, or maybe to the school's principal, if you are feeling compelled to do that, and it's a very strong feeling to do that, by all means do it. It's in your reality in that moment, because you do have a child that's experiencing the discomfort of wearing a mask in school. Okay, so I hope that that clarifies that and helps you out. Okay, the next question that I got is actually from T Storm, and they are saying, I feel exhausted all the time in these very high frequencies. Is any of that me? Am I causing that exhaustion, or is that just a natural experience from the high frequencies? So that's a great question, because these high frequencies are causing massive exhaustion, because they are literally pushing us to shift within ourselves. In other words, our molecular structure, our cellular structure is needing to shift. It's needing to change so that we can have an expansion of consciousness. So every time we are receiving these influxes of light, we're going to experience something different within our physical body that is assisting and supporting us in creating our light body. Now, we have to keep in mind that it's never just one energy at a time like it used to be. Now we could be experiencing crystalline plasma energy. We could be experiencing photonic light, and that would be through the CMEs, the coronal mass ejections, the solar winds, or anything like that that's taking place. Solar anything is going to bring that through. And I had a client that just shared with me that she's experiencing her belly blowing out as if she was like 8 months pregnant, and just feeling tired and lethargic. And so that expansion of the belly area is called birthing a new reality, right? Where it's like we're giving birth. We're not really, but we're giving birth in an etheric way to all new realities that are wanting to present. And that's photonic light. Photonic light comes in, it fills the field up, and then it expands our field. And so what it's doing in the moment that it's expanding our field is it's literally pushing all of that distorted energy to the very edge of our field, and it's bringing it to the end, which makes us feel expanded. Now, if you don't feel it in the sense of your belly blowing up and your belly feeling bigger, you might feel it when you wake up in the morning and you're just feeling very big in general. Like you might feel like you gained 50 pounds overnight. You're feeling like you don't fit good into your clothes, but yet you haven't gained any weight. that's still expansion of photonic light, right? That's photonic light works in our consciousness. It helps to expand our consciousness. That's why when we're having something like CMEs or solar winds or solar flares, anything that's bringing through photonic light is going to cause headaches, head pressure, third eye pressure as it's working our consciousness. And then we have to remember that that's also going to be impacted in the occipital area of the back of our neck, because that's where light codes are entering. So that those light codes enter in the back of our neck, in the occipital area, we might feel it all the way down our spine. So our back becomes achy, our shoulders are achy, and we're just overall feeling a sense of achiness. Okay, so some of this for you, T-Storm, is actually the light creating the achiness that you're feeling in your body, the feeling of exhaustion, because the next phase of it would be something like crystalline plasma light coming in, right? And the plasma part of that light frequency, plasma is like the viscosity of water, except in an etheric air way, right? Light frequency kind of way. And it's the next step above water. So it's very, very viscous. Okay. So we're needing that plasma to come in then and clear our field of all of the distortion that the photonic light brought to the very edge of our field. That takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of energy, which is why we need to lay down and rest, because our field is being cleared. So when that plasma energy comes through and it takes away all of that distortion, it leaves our field empty so that we can have an influx of higher light frequency coming in, which then expands our consciousness. All right. So it's all working together. So some of the fatigue and some of the aches and pains that you're feeling are from the light frequencies that are coming into our field, that are filling our field, and then helping us with our expansion of consciousness. And the other part of this could be that there is some resistance happening for you. Maybe when you're feeling fatigued and you don't want to lay down because you really want to go out and do something, and you don't give in to the fatigue and go lay down, and you force yourself to go out and do something, and then you come back from doing something and you're twice as fatigued as you were before and twice as achy as you were before. Okay, that would be resistance. And anytime we are in resistance, we're going to feel that resistance in our physical body, because resistance equals pain and suffering. So when we're not willing to surrender, we're going to feel it on a physical level. All right. So for you, T-Storm, my advice to you would be to allow yourself to just be a good receiver when this is taking place for you and you're feeling your expansion happening and you're feeling tired and you're feeling this expanded state in your body, or you're feeling any kinds of aches or pains and you're really feeling like your bed is calling you, go lay down. Go take a time out in your bed, because your bed is like your energy pod, right? It's like a light pod. It holds the energy of our body, and that's the best place for us to go and recharge. The sofa, the chair, unless you're in that chair 24/7. If you're in that chair more than you're in your bed, then go to the chair. If you're on the sofa more than you're in your bed, go to the sofa. But you want to go to the place where you can recharge, and that for me is always in my bed. Okay, so hopefully that helps you navigate these energies a little bit better. And if you are looking for more information on these energies and what they're doing, I will leave a link below so that you can access the blog that I posted back in, I don't know, 2019, I think it was June of 2019, or maybe even before then, on navigating your energy body, because that gives you a little bit of information. I probably should revise it because there's so much more happening now, but I just really haven't had time to do that. So I'm trying to focus that information here more where I can interact with you on a daily basis. All right. One of the other questions that T-Storm also had is I'm feeling the collective and I'm feeling a lot of fear presenting. And I would say, yes, if you're feeling fear, please, no matter who you are feeling the fear, please check yourself, go into your heart center, close your eyes, sit quietly and ask, is this my fear that's presenting or is this the collective fear? Because we're still unwinding the ego programming, the distortion of the 3D matrix and the 4D astral plane with all of its stories about what we experience with regards to entity attachments and parasites and feeder lines and hooks and all of that kind of stuff, right? So as people are starting to wake up, we're starting to see that coming to the surface. And so you might be tuning in and you might be feeding into that and feeling that. So if you are, do a breath check within and ask, is this mine or am I tuning into the collective? We don't want to tune into the collective experience because that would be empathing, and empathing is actually attached to victimhood mentality. Okay, I actually have a beautiful class on that you could find in my on my website. Okay, and I think that was a class I did with my wonderful and amazing talented sister Bobby Allison. So you can check that out. It's on my website. I think it's $33, and I talk all about empathing and why we do not want to subscribe to that way of thinking anymore, and we want to let go because that resides in the 3D timeline and it is not an aspect of the 5D timeline. Okay, so hopefully that helps you out. All right, so another question I received is from a client that I had a session with, and she was asking me about signs and apparently asked for a sign for a particular situation and happened to run into that situation at some point. And then right after the situation, she saw the sign. Now, the situation didn't work out for her, but yet the sign showed up. And so when we talked about it, I explained that, sometimes we can ask for a sign from our universe, but we're not very specific about the sign and how we would like it to present. We may ask for a sign saying, if this is meant to be, send me a red balloon. Okay. And so we could alter that outcome. In other words, we could be so focused on it being meant to be or it needing to be meant to be that we could be, even though we're being told that X is not going to work out, we're feeling like that's not right. It's meant to be. It really is meant to be. And then because we're feeling so connected to it being meant to be, we're actually holding that in our field as a stream of desire. And through that desire, we're actually going to manifest the red balloon. Okay. So if we're asking for a sign from our universe, we have to be, one, very, very specific about what type of sign we want to show up. And two, we need to be very clear about not getting in the way emotionally, so that if that sign is meant to come, it's manifesting through our universe. It's manifesting in its truth. And in other words, not being manipulated at all by us or by our desire to see it or to have it in a particular way, because the situation with X may not be in its timing yet. So it may not be time for you to have that connection with X, right? Whether it's a work situation, a relationship situation, or any kind of other circumstance in your reality. It doesn't matter. Timing, if it's not on your timeline yet, you have to hit the timeline that X situation will be available and will be appropriate for you to engage in that moment, because everything is based on timelines. Okay, so be very, very clear on signs and how you're desiring them to show up if you ask for one. Now, I will tell you that I just had a sign show up last night for me with regard to something that happened the other day. So many of you know the story about my cat Merlin, who was my animal partner for probably about 10 years. He was a black cat, very, very handsome black cat, but very, very snarky kind of black cat. And when he came to me, he was probably about, I want to say 6 months old to 8 months old. And he had feline HIV. He was HIV positive, right? He didn't have it full blown yet. And so I was going to do everything in my power to help him. He just showed up at my house one day, and he just kept showing up and kept showing up. And then one day I just started feeding him, and then we became friends. And then he just came to live with me, and that's kind of how it worked. So Merlin took a lot of lumps while I was going through my process of unfolding my marriage and then through my divorce. And he was always going out looking for a fight with other cats and coming home with lots of wounds, because my ex and I were not fighting at all. We were barely talking to each other and just like going through the experience of existing. So Merlin was fighting for me so that I didn't have to endure that and I could stay in my work. And he was taking the lumps and the hits and everything. And then finally, at the point where this house opened up, the house that I live in now opened up, and I was able to jump into this timeline, jump into this because the timing was perfect on it, right? So this was my ex timeline showed up for my house, and X represented house in my timeline. So it showed up and all of the signs were there that I needed to jump in and move into this house and finally shift my situation, my living situation, because I had healed that timeline and I could not leave that timeline without healing it. I had to be able to close it out appropriately. I could not let it collapse on me, which I ended up doing. But in the moment that I moved into this house on day 2 here, I went and I got Merlin and I decided I was going to bring him to come live with me. And he came into the house and he walked around the whole house with me. And then he led me to the front door. And he looked up at me and I heard him say, "You did good. You did good." And then he bumped his head against my shin. And I was like, "You want to go out?" And I thought he said, I got to leave, but I didn't take it as like him leaving. And I let him out and I said, "All right, don't stay out long because you don't know this new neighborhood." And it was nighttime. And it's been almost 3 years. It'll be 3 years in November. And he never returned. His sole contract with me was done and he left. Okay. And I was devastated because he was like my source of comfort and my friend, my partner. And actually he was the one that brought me into the Godhead. The first experience I ever had going into the Godhead. It was him. We sat on a ledge and we were talking. And I said to him, I'm like, "Why are you a cat in this lifetime?" And he said, "Because it was the only role I could come in and play in order to be with you." And so that was the only option. And I was willing to do that, to be with you. And that was when I realized how souls will sacrifice themselves to play a role for us in our incarnation, in our human existence in this lifetime. Okay. So the other night in my ascension class, in my portal, I was talking to my class about Merlin and explaining something about him for the purpose of soul contracts. And I left that class that night thinking about how much I miss him. And I don't know if I loved another animal as much as I had love for him. He was such an amazing, amazing cat, very, very galactic, very snarky, not cuddly at all. As a matter of fact, I would, go to pet him and his response to being pet would be, must you do that?" And of course I was like, Okay, I don't have to touch you, but that's who he was. He was very interesting and amazing. And so as I was thinking about him and I was laying down thinking about how much, I would love to connect with him again in the higher timelines and beyond the Godhead ledge with him sitting, talking again. Last night, I was sitting downstairs on the sofa, going through some of my emails, and I heard something outside rustling in the garbage can. And it was in the garbage can that I have all of my cat food cans from the 3 cats that live here that are the cats that belong to my friend who shares this house with me. And that bin has like any kind of plastic from, if lettuce or anything else that I might buy, but mostly cat food cans in there. And I went to the front door and I looked out and I thought to myself, it probably is a raccoon or something like that that's in the garbage, although I don't really see many raccoons or possums around here. And all of a sudden, in that next moment, this big black cat jumps out of the garbage can. Merlin was completely black, no white markings on him anywhere. Jumps out of the garbage can, looks at me, and then runs to the end of the driveway, turns back and looks at me again. And I could swear I heard Merlin says hello. And then it turned and ran down the block. Now, I'm going to tell you, I have never, ever, ever seen that cat before around here. There's only one black cat in this neighborhood, and it is the cat that lives in this house. That his name is Dre. He's my friend Beth's cat, and he's the only black cat that I know in my neighborhood. There's never been another black cat in this neighborhood. There's a black and white cat in this neighborhood who is very yin yang, half and half, black and white. Can't mistake that there's white on this cat, but never ever a black cat. Okay, so in that moment, I received a sign from Merlin letting me know that he hears me, that he knows that I am sending him lots of love, and he's sending love right back to me and sending me a sign that he is well and that all is okay. So we can often get these signs that are very magical, but we have to be paying attention to understand what is coming to us. And I just happened to be blessed to be in tune enough that I could see that this was a beautiful, beautiful message from my beloved animal partner. So I want to share that with you because it's very important that we understand that, yeah, we could ask for signs from the universe and we could get those signs, but we can also at times manipulate those signs. We have to be very, very careful. But our universe is so gracious, is so wonderful, and will always do its best when we're in our highest alignment to give us what we're looking for, because it knows that we not only desire it, but because we're deserving of it. And so I want you to keep that in the back of your mind when you are thinking about signs, because we will occasionally receive them without having to ask them. As a matter of fact, that's how I receive 99.9% of all my signs. I'm just in vibrational alignment to be a good receiver, and that's what it takes. So I want to encourage all of you out there to be a good receiver and to be present in your awareness so that you can see when a sign is showing up for you. Okay. All right. This is another question I get all the time. Very, very important to have this awareness. How do I know if I've had a template wipe? Maria, I hear you talk about template wipes all the time. How do I know if I've had one? Okay. Well, my biggest template wipe, as I've told you guys, was back in October of 2015. It lasted 3 months from the beginning of October all the way through January 1st of 2016. I was in bed, flat on my back. When I came back from literally, I felt like I was on the brink of death, and you will feel like you're dying because it's a burning off of the 3D matrix. It's a burning off of the old template. And you do feel like you're dying, okay? So in that moment, when you do come back, you know that something has changed. You know you are very different. You don't really recall the past very well. You don't recall your childhood very well. Memories are not there like they used to be. They're not as vivid anymore, Okay, that's a template wipe. Now, I will say that when Faith came in August of 2019, that was also a template wipe, clearing more of the old so that I could integrate more of the light and bring Faith down even more into my field. That would be embodiment, when we're bringing through an aspect of ourselves, a higher self or an oversoul aspect. That's embodiment. And when that happens, you feel like you're vibrating from the inside out. Okay, so your whole body is vibrating and it's happening inside, it's not happening outside. That vibrating state of being is embodiment. That's the embodiment phase. A template wipe is where you literally don't really recall memories very much anymore. And you have to remember that the reason that we can't recall memories after a template wipe is because those memories belong to those imprints in our electromagnetic field, and the imprints belong to that 3D matrix that we grew up in. So if that 3D matrix is shedding our field, guess what's going with it? The memories and everything from the 3D matrix that we held in our field through those imprints. Okay, so I hope that answers your questions. Template wipes, they will take us offline. They will feel like a flu, and it will take your body down. Your body may feel very achy. You may feel very lethargic, or you may feel like you have a flu, right? You might feel like you have the symptoms of a cold, like flu. Flu, in my world, in my reality, stands for frequency light upgrade. Okay, it's light upgrades that we're going through. They are not ascension symptoms. Get rid of the word symptoms. Symptoms is a 3D word. The more you use it, the more you stay attached to the 3D. If you start using words like DNA upgrades or light activations, that is higher level words. Okay, because we need to call it in a higher level way so that we can do a better job navigating what is presenting. All right, when you get to the place where you become super sensitive, you're actually going to feel the light frequencies hitting you at night, and it can feel very uncomfortable. There are times they come in to my field, my body, and it feels like a blast of energy hitting me. Okay, literally like somebody shot me with a photon ray or a photon gun or something like that. Okay, so tune in, be tuned in, be present. A template wipe happens when you're ready for your next highest shift and not before, because it's very intensive. Each time I've had them, I forget things. I forgot how to open the hatchback to my Jeep Compass that I had when that happened. I went out there to to get in my car and to drive, and I stood there for 10 minutes looking at the back of my vehicle going like, I know how to open this. I can't remember how to do this. Right now I have the key fob. I press it twice and the hatchback opens. But back then I didn't have that. I had to do it manually, and I couldn't remember where the pull lever was to open the hatchback. That's a template wipe. When you knew how to do something and you no longer remember how to do it, that's what a template wipe is. Okay, it takes those memories totally out so that you can be downloaded with new information or light frequency or light codes. All right, so hopefully that helps. And the last question that I'm going to answer is this one. Why do I feel like I'm high without using any substances? So in other words, I feel high, I feel floaty, as if, I use something, or, had a drink and I feel loopy or whatever, right? That's because the light frequencies are so high. As we're raising our vibration, our light quotient is more intensified. So the amount of light that we're holding in our body is greater. Okay. So what happens is it will impact our consciousness, our crown area, and it goes into expansion. So when the crown goes into expansion, we're up, we're up the ascension column, we're up into the ethers, we're into this expanded state. So where we were before may have been more 3D, 4D, and then all of a sudden we go into this state of expansion or hit this level now where we're feeling this very floaty feeling, and it feels free and very liberating, and you feel euphoric and joyful and happy and excited, right? Well, think about it. All of those feelings, joy, happy, excitement, compassion, love, freedom, all of that is 5D plus. So 5D plus cannot hold frustration and anger, resentment, manipulation, can't hold any of that, right? And the first thing people want to do when they start feeling very floaty and light, they want to ground into Gaia. We don't do that anymore. We're supposed to be feeling floaty, because now what we've done in this floaty feeling that we're having is we've activated more of our multidimensional self. Our light body is kicking in, and we've activated these higher heightened states of consciousness, which is now what we should be exploring. We don't want to ground into anywhere, because when we ground, if we're looking to ground back into the core of Gaia, we're looking to do that through the old 3D lens, through the old 3D experience, through the old 3D program in the old 3D matrix. We can't do that anymore. It doesn't work. Okay, we got to go up, and to go up, we're going to feel floaty. And it's our job to manage that floaty feeling. In other words, the more resistance we have to being floaty, the more challenging the experience is going to be. But the more free flow we can be with it, the easier it's going to be. Okay? Very, very important to keep that awareness. I have a video on the topic of grounding and why we do not ground into Gaia anymore. And I explain, going back to the history, what took place and transpired and why we are no longer doing that. We have not been doing that for years now, okay? So if you're still trying to ground, stop doing that and start to become okay with feeling floaty and just buzzy and these higher frequency sensations that you're feeling, okay? These energies are not going to slow down. You guys hear me say this every time. They're just going to continue, all right? So please do your best to be in receivership, to be a good receiver, and to surrender to your process, whatever that is. There is no perfect. We cannot do this in a perfect way. Get out of your head thinking that somebody out there actually knows exactly what's going to happen, because nobody does. Nobody knows, okay? Not even me. I can tune into the frequencies. I can tune into the collective. So far, I've been on point. I will say that to my intuition, to what is presenting, but I don't want to do a psychic reading of what is to come, because we can't do that anymore. The outcome of this is based on the collective experience shifting into higher timelines. In other words, every time you want to go to a date and say, on this date it's going to happen, or on that date it's going to happen, we can't, because it's not based on dates anymore. We're not in linear 3D anymore, where we could put focus on dates. We're in 5D plus. And when we're in 5D plus, there's no way for us to focus on a date, because everything is timelines, right? Everything is timeline merges. Everything is timeline integrations. So if you're focusing on anything then other than just being present and just creating the best experience you possibly can for yourself, stop. Just get present, be a good receiver, be tuned in. Give yourself experiences that make you happy, that make you excited, that make you joyful, that make you feel heart-centered, that make you feel love, that make you feel compassion, let go of judgment. That's where we need to be, okay? So I love you guys so much. thank you for letting me come in and do this chat with you. Hopefully, some of this is what you were needing for your own personal journey. And if it resonates with you, as always, give me a thumbs up so that I can bring you more of this content. If you have a question, just drop it below. If I can answer it on a video, I will certainly do that for you. I'm looking forward to the day where I have enough subscribers that I can actually do this as a live, and then we can come on and we can chat together and I can answer questions right there as a live. All right, so I am looking forward to that. Know that I love you so, so much. Whatever you're doing, make it wonderful, make it joyful, make it exciting, and I will see you again soon. Love you. Bye-bye.